I've had some properties on Airbnb, but it was just never, it wasn't the way I wanted to run my business as far as just letting somebody take the money and tell me when I can do things.
Mm-hmm.
We have a neat little thing we do at our seminars. We show a guy with a pizza hat, and he runs a pizza parlor, and you go down the street and you go into the pizza joint and you want to buy a pizza from the guy, so you give him $10 and he cooks you a pizza. Well, how would that pizza guy feel if somebody set up a tent in front of his door and you had to go into that tent and pay that guy, and then the guy in the tent went and got you the pizza and came back out and handed it to you? We don't want people in between the two people that should be doing business together, and that's kind of how we see that end of the market.
Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Micah and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let,
Thrive. That was for Alaria's kids. Apparently they like how we harmonize together.
Oh,
on the
okay.
intros.
Gotcha.
They said, they hate it when y'all don't do it. I was like, oh, okay. We always kind of try to do it, unless I'm by myself. Anyways, this is episode 70.
7-0.
The 7-0, and of Live, Let, Thrive, your favorite Airbnb, STR, LTR, short-term, long-term, real estate, whatever, share economy podcast. And thank y'all for joining us again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and today we have a special guest coming all the way from, I believe, Florida, Mr.
Joe Godar, or Godar. How do you say it, Joe?
Godar, you had it right the second time. How are you guys?
I had like two options, and I got, second time's
50-50.
good. So Joe hails out of the awesome state of Florida, and he's doing something very interesting with the short-term rental market. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Joe, and tell us a little bit about your company, if you don't mind.
Sure. Like to say, my name is Joe Godar, and I'm with Emerald Coast by Owner. We also call it ECBYO, and we do have a sister site to this, which is SMBYO for Smoky Mountains by Owners. But we like to just call it a regional vacation rental listing site. And, with all the giant OTAs that are out there kind of doing all kind of different things in the market now, we've been in the vacation rental business for about 20 years with owning properties, managing properties. We have vacation rental software. We've built vacation rental sites. And about 2 or 3 years ago, we decided to get into the listing side of things and just focus kind of on a boutique type level for very specific areas. And since we're, in the Emerald Coast and have been there for so long, we thought that was a perfect market to start in. And we just want to get back to a really clean, traditional way of marketing vacation rentals so the guests can get in direct contact with the owners and managers and let them do their business together.
Okay. You said a lot there. What exactly is an OTA?
Online travel agencies. And,
Okay.
The big guys, the HomeAways, the VRBOs, Airbnb, etc.
Okay. So when you guys started and when you decided, hey, we're going to create our own site for this area, what was the factor behind that? What made you do that?
Well, being in the business and actually, renting my own home out, homes, and then managing my friends and being in basically like a manager, we needed to have marketing. And so for years, the gold standard was VRBO. And this goes back to, 20, 30 years ago when they started that out in Colorado. Then came along HomeAway and kind of brought all these companies together. They bought dozens and dozens of websites and built the HomeAway network, which VRBO was the lead horse of that pack constantly. And they were the strongest marketing players in the vacation rental world. And they did a great job. Anybody that had a vacation rental knew all you had to do was put it on HomeAway. Your phone would ring, you'd fill your property up, and things were great. And people did that and thrived in this market for years. And about 2 years ago, we saw the landscaping starting to change, and we saw that HomeAway was positioning themselves to sell out and basically flip to a commission-based system that we didn't think would be proper, for us to run our own business. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean I had my set group of customers, my clients. I had my homes, my properties, and I knew how much money I had to bring in each year on each property to make myself happy, pay my bills, pay my mortgages, and to keep my other owner friends happy. I didn't see where I could give up 10 or 20% of that just to be on a website. So we decided to kind of step into the market, and we thought we could handle marketing a regional site. And the word marketing is a very strong word when you're talking about a listing site or a marketing site, because you really have to do a lot to market a website. And we thought if we went on a regional basis, we could handle that. We're taking on a worldwide. We weren't going to take HomeAway or Vrbo on and replace them. That was just not even in the equation. But we thought the boutique and the smaller regional sites, we could come into that market with proper SEO and billboards up and down the road. We went into the market and had seminars up and down on the beach. So we really tried to do a guerrilla type marketing to get people behind being on one site for one area.
Wow. So you guys, it was a lot of marketing behind all of this then, right?
A ton of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing people don't understand is it is all marketing. And it's not that a website doesn't matter. There's a million pretty websites that have come out, but if they're not being properly marketed, the people don't get to the site to call the owner or manager, and then it just becomes a empty ship out on the ocean just sitting there. Where we have to push this out to get the guests to get to the site, to see our owners and managers, to call them, and we just want to be the marketing end of it. We don't want to take their payments and give them terms and conditions and tell them what they can and cannot do. We just want them to get together on the website, and then they can do their business. The guest needs, in my opinion, to talk to the owner or manager directly and not go through a third-party source that is going to call an outsourced, foreign person for customer service. I think you should talk to the owner or manager of the property that you're staying in.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're going on that. I actually agree because me and Steve, we're actually looking to kind of jump into that type of market soon too. Like kind of something where it's more just directly the host and the guest. I definitely see where you're talking about with the OTAs. Sometimes the OTAs have a little bit too much power. Airbnb, so I definitely see what you mean.
I noticed you didn't mention Airbnb one time in that whole discussion there. Were they not oh, you did? Okay. Well, cause mostly your I wouldn't say taking business, but you were dealing with VRBO or HomeAway more than Airbnb?
Correct. Airbnb kind of came along and really did well with the European sharing market, mainly, rooms and apartments. They've moved into the vacation rental world, and they're probably more popular now with, the younger crowd than they are the older crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably showing my age by saying I've, been doing this for 20 or 25 years.
Oh, wow.
I've had some properties on Airbnb, but it was just never, it wasn't the way I wanted to run my business as far as just letting somebody take the money and tell me when I can do things.
Mm-hmm.
We have a neat little thing we do at our seminars. We show a guy with a pizza hat, and he runs a pizza parlor, and you go down the street and you go into the pizza joint. You want to buy a pizza from the guy, so you give him $10 and he cooks you a pizza. Well, how would that pizza guy feel if somebody set up a tent in front of his door and you had to go into that tent and pay that guy, and then the guy in the tent went and got you the pizza and came back out and handed it to you? We don't want people in between the two people that should be doing business together, and that's kind of how we see that end of the market.
And that's pretty cool. That's a great analogy, by the way. And that's how we've been seeing it, because we're on a lot of these Airbnb Facebook pages. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get on there and they gripe. I mean, they complain about Airbnb. How come they're doing this? How come they're charging for this? How come they're not reimbursing for this? Or how come they're putting these these people, now we can't even see who's going to be put in our house? I mean, it's like all these. It's like constant complaints. And at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, it's your house. You don't have to let them do it. You're acting like they own your house and they're the ones dictating everything. I mean. You don't. I mean, the only thing is there's not really another option for them but Airbnb and perhaps VRBO.
Well, I call it success by convenience. People, if you had that apartment over in Europe, and let's say you had a bedroom, and you could just put it on Airbnb and start making money off it, that's very convenient. But, if I went and spent saved up my money and spent $500,000 on a home on the coast of Florida, and I'm running my business for years and everything's fine. I don't want to back into giving somebody 10 to 20% when I just want somebody to make my phone ring. And so we see a distinct difference in people that really want to control their business and be able to run their business and work it like a business, or some people just want a little bit of income in the Airbnbs and the VRBOs that take their percentages and use their payment processing, and you have to abide by their terms. If the guest has a problem, they call Airbnb, and Airbnb tells the owner what's going to happen, and that's the part we just don't kind of agree with. Right.
And so, so in other words, you're putting them in touch with each other, and that's cool. And so how exactly does it work? So I'm a host. I got this, like you said, $500,000 property. I call you guys up, or I who makes phone calls anymore? But they have a cool chatting feature, by the way, Micah. You can get on there and their website and chat with. That's how I got in touch with Joe. So pretty sweet. But anyways, so they hit you up and they say, hey, I want to list my house and or condo or whatever. What's the next step?
It's all done online, and they just go through where it says owner login, create an account. They purchase a listing. They could buy one listing. We have managers that put up dozens or hundreds of listings. We do have the capability of doing a data feed with the larger people, but if you have one condo, that's perfectly fine. You pick your community, and let's say you're in, the Calypso in Panama City Beach, and you have a 3-bedroom condo, then you put your pictures up. Once we see the listing has more than enough, we have like a scale of around 60% completeness. We push it out to the live site, and then hopefully our traffic on the site is seeing that condo or home, and then they call and email you directly to book, directly with the owner from the guest.
Okay, and how much would that cost for me to book, put my place on there?
Our rate for one property for 1 year is $349.
That's very reasonable. It's very good. So do you provide the owners with like a calendar and stuff too, kind of similar to Airbnb, VRBO?
We do. We have, again, different things that we can do. We have a software package. It's called iVacationOnline.com that integrates with Emerald Coast. So if you see a listing that says book online, they're using the online booking software. That means that owner or manager has their own merchant service. And so that listing, when you click on the dates and actually book it online, that money's going directly to the owner, and you're booking with the owner. You're not booking with Emerald Coast by owner. Others have their own websites outside of our system. And they might have, like the property manager, let's say Wyndham. You might book on Wyndham, but you find them on our website and you click, and then you end up on their website, or their tech or somebody or representative that you call puts them on your website, or the email comes back and you book somewhere else. But we're the originator of the inquiry, through our marketing.
That's pretty awesome right there. And so, So I guess insurance or anything like that never comes into play. Not from you guys. They're not gonna call you up and say, "Hey, these guests, broke something in my place," and you're gonna say, "I put you in touch with them. You did business with them. It's kind of on you." Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, some of the there is damage insurance and travel insurance available through the booking portal that we use, iVacation Online. But the other insurance would be through whoever you book with. If it's a separate manager or separate owner, you'd be booking directly with them and maybe buying insurance through them.
Okay, that's cool. It keeps you 100% out of it. Sorry about that. I'm fighting through a little bit of a cold right now, Joe. Anyways,
that time of year, yeah.
Yeah. So y'all over there on the Emerald Coast, where Destin, I've been there a couple times. I love Destin, Florida, and it's just beautiful. And so you just always done business there, and that's why you decided just to cover that area, right?
Right. Well, yeah, that's where I have my properties, and I've been down there for about 23 years, I guess, exactly. But we called, now the Emerald Coast is not an official name. You can't look on a map and say, where's the Emerald Coast? It's people have named it that over the years. And so when we decided to do this, we didn't want to go too big, but we didn't want to go too small either. And so we decided to go over into Alabama on the other side of Fort Morgan. It's Dolphin Island, and so that's the west side of our region. And then we go through Alabama, through Florida, Pensacola, Destin, Panama City Beach, Cape San Blas, unfortunately where all the Hurricane Michael was a few weeks ago, and out to like St. George and Apalachicola. So it's about a 300-mile stretch of beach that we call the Emerald Coast, and that's what's represented on the website.
So you've so I guess, I mean, you found your niche, obviously, and it's been pretty successful so far.
It's going great. We're thrilled. You know, it's been somewhat of a learning experience for us. We knew we had to, really dig into the marketing and the SEO. So we've tried to bring in some of the, best companies and the best people that are out there as far as, really tweaking things to make it a serious player in the area. And we think that we can take like a magnifying glass and just, make this a hotbed for, we want to be the guy in this area that everybody goes to, to find their vacation rental and also to list their property.
Cool. And you keep saying we. Who was your partner? I mean, who was in that video, that famous YouTube video of you guys?
That's actually my nephew. Yeah, we have a team of people. His name is Corey Godar, and he does a lot of the marketing. Him and I basically head up the marketing, but he's very strong in social media, SEO. So he is my go-to guy as far as he's behind the scenes doing a ton of the social media stuff that we do. We have a big Facebook page. Something that we have that is, people are really, really liking is we have a lot of Facebook groups, and you guys mentioned that a few minutes ago. On our Facebook page, Emerald Coast by Owner, you can click and see groups. And so we've got a group for every one of like our communities. So we have a Gulf Shores group, a Pensacola group, a Destin group, Panama City. And so people are joining these groups, and this becomes a whole nother level of marketing for us. And it's an Emerald Coast group, but the guests are in there communicating with themselves and with the other owners, and it's like a complete chat system and thriving community, totally outside of our website, but it's represented by our listings and our owners going there, and they're posting what dates they have available, what specials they're running. Meantime, the guests come along and say, hey, I want to come to this area for these dates. And then it's a great way for them to communicate, and it's kind of a newer version of marketing that we're really happy that we stumbled on it.
So do you guys plan on expanding?
Yes. We did this year launch the SMBYO site. Emerald Coast by Owner's been up. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. And we were really happy with how that went. So within a year, we decided to start another one. So we went to the Smoky Mountains. So it's SmokyMountainsByOwner.com, and we launched that in January. And we just want to take our time and get each one, recreate the system in different areas one at a time and not try to grow too fast. But we have our third area kind of picked out, and hopefully within the next 6 months we'll get that one up as well.
Okay. So are you guys just focusing particularly on vacation rental areas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're kind of not doing the whole Airbnb, going into the inner city, having to deal with the fighting city councils, things like that?
Correct. Yeah, we're sticking with the traditional vacation house, vacation condo. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the beach, of course, because some of these are mountain areas or lake areas. But the traditional rental, vacation rental of a house or a condo, townhouse, that's what we're sticking with.
Yeah, we're definitely going through a fight right now where we're at. We're in Arlington, Texas. And so they're on the verge of banning Airbnb or short-term rentals altogether. And like you were saying, well, this is in neighborhoods, and so we can see the arguments of people that don't want it in their neighborhood. Mostly older people, and because we went to a city council meeting, and on one side was a lot of elderly people who didn't want it in their neighborhoods, and the other side it's a lot of younger people who are doing this and making money. Helps get by, make some money, and pay off them student loans. But so it's like it's a real battle going on, and I guess it is beneficial. You're staying in the vacation areas, but I like if you did branch out to the neighborhoods and stuff like that, inner cities, like Michael was saying, would I guess I don't see how they could come after you because you're not even. I mean, you're like the facilitator, I guess, but you're not the ones taking money from either side, right?
Correct. Yeah, and then in the industry we call it the agent of record, and that's who's taking the money. And so we are not in that ballpark. Once Airbnb and now Vrbo stepped into that, it's just there's so much more that comes along with it. The sales tax reporting, the responsibility, liability. We think there's just plenty of room to just be a marketing source. And I firmly believe and always will that the person whose house you're staying in, that's the person you should pay. You shouldn't pay some marketing company, to book a house that you're staying in. I think you should book the house and pay the person that's staying there. So we want to keep that model where, we don't get involved in that payment process.
That makes sense. So do you use Google ads, I would assume, and then and Facebook ads too, since you have a big presence on Facebook?
Yes, both very much so, yes.
And how I'm just getting a little technical, but how do you go about targeting the, potential consumers or potential partners, however you would say it, people that want to list their place? How would you go about in targeting them? Because that's like a big thing that we're trying to learn. Try to, do some target ads.
Well, there's a million levels to this, and the thing that I've really come to enjoy and getting to learn is Facebook marketing is like an onion. There's so many layers and layers and layers and layers and layers to peel back. I'll just give you a quick overrun of kind of the elevation that we went through. You could have an email list, which we did. We had thousands and tens of thousands of emails of people that have stayed and inquired in these areas before we started. So you put that into a Facebook marketing campaign, and then they find the people's Facebook pages. So you're not emailing those people necessarily, but you're now able to market to them through their Facebook pages. They see your ads. And then they come to the website, and then you have a pixel on your website, and you're grabbing that information that person just visited you, and now you can retarget them. This is when you go to Facebook, and all of a sudden you're getting the same ads shown to you over and over again. Well, it's effective because people are shopping for a certain reason at a certain time, and they want to be able to purchase something in, say, a 3-day period. And if you're in front of them at that time, then you're more likely to get that sale. And there's levels to that go very, very deep. We can create a lookalike audience. If we have 100,000 people that are of this demographics, we can go into Facebook and say, give us 2 million people that match that group. And then we push our ads out to those people. And then as they come to the website, anything they touch, our Facebook page, our Facebook groups, our website, we're then able to remarket to them. So it's like a sticky paper or a web that they come into, and the minute they touch us, we keep emailing them. And then we ask them we keep marketing to them on Facebook, and then we ask for their email. Then we build our email database, and we have a campaign of once a week sending emails out. So it's things that are kind of tied together, but we do extensive Facebook marketing, email campaigns. We work endlessly on SEO, so if somebody Googles something, they find us. We do Google AdWords. So it's a comprehensive plan that some of it fits together, and we try to be strong in every area.
So whose idea was it to do the YouTube videos?
That was mine. YouTube is a great source of SEO. So we load up our YouTube channel and we also know that video is very, very strong now on social media. A lot of stuff. I don't know if you saw Mark Zuckerberg at the congressional hearing where he talked about everything's going to video. So we think little clips and little snippets of, if you wanted to go on vacation, wouldn't you enjoy just watching a 60-second video of the condo that you might be staying in? And that would probably tell you so much more than reading a description or paging through photos.
That's great, man. Video is a very important thing. We're a visual type society, I believe. Is that right, Micah?
Yeah.
And you had some questions for Joe?
Yeah. What were you using? Because you said you had to prove to the owners that you were getting traffic to your site. Is there anything in particular that you were using to show the owners, like, hey, we do have the traffic, we have people visiting, and we could definitely market for you guys and be a viable market for you guys?
Yeah, we came out right away, and we produced a marketing plan, and we showed them, and we have that on the website. Some people just want to hear, in general what we're doing, but then some people want to see really what we're doing. And so we try to give each person what they need on the level that they need it. Of course, we have analytics. We can show them exactly how many people are coming to the site at what time. which areas get more traffic than others, and what keyword terms people are coming into the site on. In the beginning, we drove a lot of traffic with social media because it's something that you can just kind of turn on and start marketing and bring them to the site. And then as the site got some age and we were able to work on the SEO, the organic traffic is now, the number one thing that brings traffic in, and we can track all that. So we constantly are producing graphs and charts and showing people, the traffic from one month to another. And we just believe in being totally transparent because, we have to market the site better than they market their stuff or they wouldn't be with us.
Okay, gotcha. So you're using like Google Analytics and things, and different analytics to prove that to them. 'Cause that's what I always wondered, if there was anyone to ever come out to compete with Airbnb, where would they start?
Well, there was a great article written by a guy named Conrad, and he's into search engine optimization, web design. He's highly embedded with the vacation rental world. I might be able to find it and email it to you, but he wrote the article on basically why it's close to impossible today to come out and compete with the Airbnbs or the Expedias under the $4 or $5 billion market, just because you can't take all the terms that they have already and compete with them. I mean, you would need, and he put some real numbers to it. He figured it would take 3,000 people doing Google AdWords with a budget of $300 million a month to be able to get the terms up the way they did. And he went through that process, and that's the biggest reason we stuck regionally, because to do what we did on a global basis, you would need $4 billion. But we just stuck to a 300-mile stretch of beach, and we put all of our efforts into one area because we respected that it would take a ginormous effort with big backing to be able to do something like they have now.
Well, if you start passing the hat around, I got $100 on it, bro.
Well, we'll definitely stay in touch.
So we could officially say Airbnb is here to stay. There's no competing with that.
In general, yes, but I think that it's so big that there's so much room underneath it to do other things.
Wow.
It's just so big that they can't control and do everything. And the problem that we see, and this is real world for our owners and managers, when we sit down with them, we go visit the managers in Panama City Beach, and they say, we can't be on Airbnb because they take 18% of the total take. So that's why we advertised on HomeAway, and we didn't mind paying them $1,500 a year for a property, but now they're 8% for the owner and 18% or 15% for the guest to book. So that's another 25%. I'm charging my owner 25%. So that's 50% of this booking. That math doesn't work for us. We can't do that. And so it's not a matter of competing with them. It's providing an alternative to people that can't use that model. Not everybody can use that model. That model will work for a bunch of people, but we're servicing the people that model doesn't work for.
Gotcha. That's smart. Definitely.
And so how has the host feedback been for you guys?
Oh, they're thrilled. The people that we have are, what they do, our downside is people compare us to VRBO and Airbnb immediately, right out of the gate. And so they call us and say, well, I'm on VRBO. I want to leave there. I want to list with you. I've got $80,000 worth of business last year. How much am I going to get with you? So those are big shoes to fill. And, so we try to explain to them, and when we have our seminars, we call it an umbrella of marketing. We're like, don't put all your apples in one basket. This is what got you in that trouble in the beginning. And we try to teach them how to, market on our website, maybe some other websites that are similar to ours. Start your Facebook page, get your email database going. You need to become self-sufficient so no one site can then control you, because some people are literally hung out to dry because they have no other alternatives but then to stay with, the Airbnbs or the VRBOs, give up their 20%, and then the wheels fall off. these people will cancel a vacation on 2 days before 4th of July, and that might be a $7,000 booking. That person needs that money to pay their mortgage. They can't pay their mortgage now. And so real problems start happening. So we're just trying to be a part of their marketing, not control the whole business.
Wow, that's awesome. I've been saying that, like, people putting all their eggs in one basket, because we're in Arlington, Texas, and we're currently going through some legislation. A lot of people are running scared because they've done that with their business. They've put it all on Airbnb, and if that gets shut down, they're done, I'm happy you guys are.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, the other problem is Airbnb will shut you down.
Yeah.
If they don't like let's say you have 15 properties, and the only thing you do is Airbnb, or maybe the only thing you do is HomeAway, and both of them are doing it now. If you violate their terms and conditions, if they see that you say something about booking offline or contact me direct, boom, the whole account goes down. Everything offline. And how can you run your business, knowing that tomorrow the whole thing could be turned off by somebody else and you have no choice in the matter?
Wow.
You're at their mercy.
Yeah, that goes back to the little tent sitting in front of the pizza parlor. If I have a pizza parlor, there will be no tent in front of it.
That's true.
Come and grab a slice.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool how you also you talk to and y'all are very receptive. That was pretty neat because we saw your video, and and someone posted it on the Arlington Short-Term Rental Alliance, this Facebook page we're part of, and we're like, we're banding together to try to banning, that's a good word, to fight the ban, and just to get the word out there about Airbnb, VRBO, whatever people using in town, and how city council's trying to ban it. And anyways, so someone used your video as an example. All the way over here in Arlington, Texas, we saw that's the power of YouTube, power of advertising, but
right.
But I clicked on it and I saw it and I was like, whoa. So I went ahead and tagged Micah right away and I was like, check this out. And he's like, get him on the show. So, right away. And that's cool because we automatically saw like how useful it would be. Especially, let's say, someone wanted to, like I said, you're not getting your hands dirty in a way. If someone from, somewhere, I guess y'all are sticking to the vacation rental spots. But if someone's just are in one of those cities that's kind of questionable or strict with the city council or whatever, and Airbnb, let's say a city you could only rent your place out for 60 days out of the year. Airbnb would put like a thing on there after 60 days is up, you can't rent it no more. Y'all, on the other hand, you said, well, hey, it's whatever you do with your place, it's your place. If you choose to, skirt that 60-day rule, that's on you. That ain't on us. And so, I guess we saw potential for it, like with cities that are people that are fighting these Airbnb bans popping up everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Some people said, they're too big to fail, and I'll we've seen big businesses fail in the past, but I just like to think that there's plenty of room. That's why it's called the World Wide Web. They can be number one and number two. I'll be number 3, 4, and 5, and I'll get my piece of the pie, and our clients can thrive. And the other thing that I wanted to drive home for a lot of people is we went to a meeting with the Walton County in Florida, and they talked about their tax base. Now, this is a county commissioner having a meeting about the disruption in the big OTAs taking over control of the rentals in the market. And the first thing they said is, we're losing about 20% of our tax base because Airbnb and VRBO and HomeAway are taking the bookings now, not our local people, and our local people are only getting 80%. They're not getting 100%. So that struck a lot of people. They didn't understand what would happen to a municipality when they lost 20% of their income. And then everybody there just understood, we got to find a different alternative. Of course, we were there to present our alternative, and we also tried to educate them that, every week, hundreds of thousands of people come to this destination. They've been doing it for years. They will continue doing it for years. It's not dependent on a website. So we go back to just trying to educate the people. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go to Airbnb and maybe end up in Destin. They wake up and say, I'm going to Destin. How do I get there? And they just need to understand how to market themselves and not let somebody else control it.
That's cool. So you've been at these city council meetings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what
a
do
dog
they?
fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is big time. And what do you? I guess. How do you come across to the people? I guess let's say the angry people first. How do you come across to them, trying to speak reason, and say, this is how we do business, and this is how we differ from Airbnb. How does that go across for the enraged?
Well, they're in our market. What we're dealing with is, everybody wants the rentals. Well, I shouldn't say that. There was an uprising in Destin where they literally tried to shut down a lot of short-term rentals, and that didn't go over so well for that contingency inside the city council. But what we deal with is, they were trying to make sure the economics of the whole area isn't changed by these big places taking 20% out of the market. And so they look to us. We got a ton of cheerleaders. We've got people that are cheering for us like none other. On the other hand, they literally think, Airbnb and Vrbo, they're billion-dollar companies. Mm-hmm. And so there's some things we don't have and can't do that they can do because we're not a $4 billion company or a $50 billion company. But it'll take us time, and we have the advantage of being small, and we can do things like the guerrilla marketing and return your phone call quickly and be on the beach making videos, where Vrbo is not on our beach. We fly planes up and down the coast, say book direct on ECBYO. Vrbo and Airbnb is not doing that. So we can be very effective in a very small area, and I think that's, long term, that's what we think is going to be our version of success is, we want to be spectacular for a small place and not just average for a big place.
Wow.
That's really cool. Pound that niche.
Right, exactly.
And I love the points you get made up, because I actually never thought about it from that scope of the money that you do take away from the people that are actually in the city to market these. That's a really, really good niche I never thought about.
Yeah, and our area, the rentals are a given. So I understand, in downtown Manhattan, New York, and, your suburban areas, that they're not understanding people renting homes in a normal environment. But if you go to Destin and pull into a condominium complex, those are all rentals. I'm sure there's, maybe a dozen out of 100 people that live there, but it's a resort community, always has been and always will be. So they don't have, we see a lot of short-term rental problems in bigger areas like in Orlando and Tallahassee, where it's getting into the urban areas and not just on the coast. But our personal experience has been, the city councils and stuff are more worried about the economy and the effects of the big OTAs than trying to ban the vacation rentals.
Wow.
That's cool, man. So you're obviously good at helping the host understand, what this is what you need to do if you want to, continue to make that whatever they're used to, 20,000 to 80,000 a year, whatever they're used to. This is what you need to do, market on all these sites, have your own Facebook page, have your own website, etc. And that's cool. Because you're educating them. So on that note, if Micah and I were to create a website here to cover the North Texas area, what would you do to educate us? What pointers would you give us? And speak slowly, please.
Well, you get a good web designer. Make sure that you build the website right. Lay out your marketing plan. Also, identify. You want to make sure you have the numbers on your side. And we've seen some people that make a run at this, and the numbers just aren't there. Meaning, there's not enough rentals. You're only going to get 1% of 1% to list with you. And so if you have a very small rental base, because some people think, 400 condos over here and 200 condos over here, we can build a website. Well, you really need hundreds of thousands, to get 10,000 on your website. So I would definitely just do some hard look at the demographics to see how many doors you have in that area, and then look at the travel patterns. Is it seasonal? Is it year-round? And those are the kind of things that we looked at before we decided on, the markets that we went into.
Well, I think I definitely agree with that. I see if you're saying, because if you're sticking to a vacation rental market, you're going to have, like you said, it's a resort style area, so everything's pretty much every building's a rental, correct?
Right. Correct.
Okay. So doing it in the inner city, you'd run into probably a few more issues because you have neighborhoods, of course, where people actually live. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to start a Chicago regional vacation rental site.
Yeah.
Yeah, Airbnb is there, and there's a presence there, and people are renting short-term things there, but that's not the market that we would say, hey, that's where we need to be next. That just wouldn't make any sense to us for what we'd like to do.
Okay. Are there any areas that you yourself personally are looking to possibly expand to, more vacation rental areas? What areas would you be looking at?
You mean our next area?
Yeah.
Yeah, our next area will be the Carolinas, North and South Carolina, like they call it the Grand Strand.
Uh-huh.
And it's for the same reasons again. There's we call them doors, and that just means, like one condo building could have 400 doors, where a neighborhood might have, 300 homes. Those are 300 doors. So that's a highly densely populated area of vacation rentals that's traveled to very easily. A lot of driving destinations. A lot of people just simply drive there. It's just kind of an alter side of the Emerald Coast. It's on the Atlantic side, and so that's the next one we're working on.
Oh, okay. It's the Myrtle Beach area all in there.
Yep, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head. It'll be Carolina Beaches by owner.
Carolina, wow, man. You guys are really making an impact. I like that you guys have been able to create a niche under all the OTAs, the Airbnbs, the VRBOs, and still, be very impactful for owners.
Yeah, we're not trying to be greedy, and they can have their, billions and billions, but if we can grow and have multi-million-dollar companies, we're totally thrilled with that.
You're over there in Florida, aren't you, Micah?
Yeah, I have a few places in Florida. But yeah, and like you said, they're mostly vacation rentals. My Florida properties are mainly, vacation rentals, Kissimmee and down in there.
Excuse me. Isn't it true that, is Airbnb totally banned in Miami now?
It has not banned. I think so. If it's not banned, it's real strict restrictions.
Do you know anything about that, Joe?
No, I've seen and heard it. The one we deal with more is Hawaii. We have a friend of ours that we've been kind of co-helping him. His website is called Hawaii Chi, and it's a regional site very similar to ours. You'll see him referencing us on his website because we've helped him along the way. And he has a very difficult time. The regulation, they literally have people that, I don't know what you want to call it, lie, cheat, steal. They can't, they rent, but they're not supposed to. And it's, they got stuck in these, they've owned multiple homes and millions of dollars worth of real estate, and overnight they banned them.
Damn.
And they can't sell them. And so they rent them, under the covers or under the table, if you will, and it's archaic what they're going through out there. And it's everything what you guys are talking about. They designate certain areas, and it's very small. Like this area of the beach that has this resort is a rental market. Everything else on the island is no short-term rental.
Wow.
That's insane.
It's a nightmare for them.
That sucks. I love Hawaii. I love Maui. Yeah, it sucks we can't get something out there. I mean, that's so restrictive like that, especially when it's so expensive to live there. I especially feel bad for I would say locals, but like the ones that have been there for generations. I mean, hey, they're struggling to get by because everything's so expensive because so many people move. Rich people move there and they make everything go up, and yet you're not letting them make a living. Trying to make ends meet by using their house as something to make money with.
Right. It's a very politically driven thing. You have a lot of the landowners and homeowners that have been there for a long time are not necessarily in the majority, but they're the ones on city council, and they're the ones that run things. And the people that own a lot of the properties are absentee. They're not there. They can't be hands-on. And that's how this stuff gets done in the middle of the night, at city council meetings that nobody knows what's going on, and all of a sudden the law changes, and then problems happen.
Yeah, and I was joking with some friends at my job because I was telling them, because I guess they saw it in the news. Oh, Airbnb's going to ban, or Arlington's going to ban Airbnb next. I mean, because these towns in North Texas are they're just falling like dominoes. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the plan. I went to that council meeting, and this is what happened. And they're like, wow. And I was like, I asked them, because they live in Arlington. I have some friends that live in Arlington too. I was like, have you ever been to a council meeting? They're like, nah, I've never been to one in my life. And that was the first one I've ever been to. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy from what I witnessed. I was like, how much the I'll say the elderly kind of run our city, because they're the ones that are showing up to these meetings all the time, and they're the ones, they know that they're gonna vote for the whoever's in the council, and they'll push for them, and they're the ones voicing their opinion, and us youngsters or younger generation, we're too busy trying to work, one job, two jobs, raising a family and stuff to go to stuff like that. And I was like, it's just, y'all need to start going to those things, because they're kind of running the direction of all your cities, and they're passing stuff that's kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah, and it happens. They tried it in Destin, and people did not believe how far they got. Luckily, in the election, a new mayor came in and were able to turn things around. On the other hand, there has to be a balance. The one lady that led the charge in Destin, the city approved 3 homes to be built across the street from her, and it was a normal, if you will, vacation rental area with very nice resort-style homes. And these were typically 5 bedrooms that would sleep maybe 15 people that would be on this street, and she lived there. And so the developer came in and put up 3 homes. Each one sleeps 35 people. And so on any given week, there'd be 100 people directly across the street from her. Wow. And so the pressure that puts on the infrastructure of that area, the parking was almost impossible. The access to the beach with 100 more people coming to it back and forth. So that was the tipping point for her. And so she led the charge to try to limit the number of people in a home based on the number of bedrooms, because they're building these bedrooms and they'll put 5 bunk beds in one room, and it could sleep 15 people in one room. And so they go to a restriction and say 1 bedroom can sleep 2 people. If you got a 6-bedroom house, it sleeps 12 people, not 35. So if those laws change overnight on you and people aren't aware of what's going on, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, big time. All politics is local, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got some more selfish questions to ask you, if you don't mind, Joe.
Sure, fire away.
All right, I've been looking for a while now, and it's very well documented on our show. I've been looking for a condo in South Padre Island, and I'm sure you're familiar with South Padre, right?
Yes.
And
I haven't been there, but I'm familiar with it.
Right. It's where the teenagers go to party. That's not why I want to go. I want to. Most of the year, it's not like that. It's just this, little sleepy beach town, and they get summers and spring break. They get tourists, and then winter Texans, they call them, that come through for the the older folks from up north come through and stay there for the winters. But I've been looking for spots down there, and I've been trying to figure out how to make these things work, on paper. I guess I just keep coming across the best case scenario on owning a condo on the beach, for using it as a rental, but using it as a family too. And the best case scenario keeps seeming that I might be able to break even on these. Now, if you could give me any pointers on what to look for on buying like such a property, and how I could market it better. Of course, using your site would be awesome if y'all were down there. But like, if you could give me any pointers, what to look for, and how I could be successful with one of those things.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we do all day long. The first thing is to learn your market, which it sounds like you do know your market. There's going to be certain properties that are going to be more popular than others. So people are familiar with it. Those properties will rent more. Improve them. This is one mistake we see a lot of people do, is they look at a rental property and they think, I'm going to bring my grandma's couch down and go the opposite. Update it to the nines. Redecorate it. Get it all to the most current standards that you can get, So when you take professional photography of your property and you put it online, it outperforms and just looks better than all the other properties. And then price it reasonable. Don't be so high that you're fighting and you miss a week, because we have a very perishable commodity. It's time. And if you miss a week in June because you're priced too high and I'm priced a little bit less and I get all 4 weeks, I just made my gross more than you, and your property might be trying to get more per week. And that's probably the number one thing we see people is, I got the best condo on the beach, I got to charge this. It's like, well, you can charge that, but it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And so pricing it right and improving it to the best that you can for that area, and then just comp it out, see what the other properties are doing in the area. We create spreadsheets of pro forma before somebody buys something, and we can estimate and look at it and say, well, you should be able to gross, $75,000 on this property, and then start backing out your expenses. Is that going to, pay your bills to your satisfaction?
Nice. And so your company does that?
Well, we kind of do it more like on a personal level, because it just depends on, we're in contact with certain realtors that we work with that, they have good buyers, and if they come into town and say, Joe, they're looking at this condo, can you comp this out for us? We'll put together a quick spreadsheet for them, because we probably have condos in that building that we know exactly what that condo should bring.
Oh, cool.
But we always say if it's done correctly.
Nice. If you know of any good ones in Destin, go ahead and send them my way, please. I love Destin.
Sure. Yeah, that market we know. I wouldn't know the Texas market intimately, but you could do the same. You could go through the same, exercise there as we would do it here, and just have somebody supply you with that information. The way we're supplying them with it. A lot of it you can find online and comp it out to see what the other condos are getting, and then you just see how much you're going to use it. I also will argue that if you break even, you're successful, because you're going to have appreciation. You have how many weeks a year that you're using it. It's enjoyable. I mean, I've never met anybody that doesn't like going to vacation in their own vacation rental. It's something that's just really cool to do. And if you go down 2 or 3 weeks a year, and then you rent it out the rest of the year, and you can pay your bills, and 5 years, 10 years down the road, you have it paid off, and you have a nice asset sitting there, that's not a bad investment.
Huh. That's pretty good. And I guess the only thing I worry, there's a lot of things to worry about, but is the HOAs. They're kind of steep, and you would just imagine they're going to go up higher and higher every year, right?
Yeah, and I would talk to people about the HOAs. It's the old adage, like we talked about with the city councils. If you're not there and you're not on the board, you could be going into a beehive of activity that you know nothing about, and it's very, very beneficial to call a few of those condo owners and say, who's the president? Do you like him? What's he do? What rules do you have? Because there could be unsaid rules and there could be written rules. And all of a sudden these people will light up, oh, they're trying to do this. They want to ban this. They don't want to do this. Or they might have a big assessment coming up that they've been talking about, that all of a sudden next year we're going to have a $30,000 assessment because we didn't have enough reserves for our new roof. It's just people will talk to you if you ask them. And I would definitely ask questions of the current owners of a place before you buy there.
Sweet. You looking to buy one, Micah?
Ooh, staying away from the vacation rental market, but I'm learning from listening to Joe. So, yeah, I'm staying away from the vacation rental market, but once I learn it, I may buy a retirement house somewhere. Destin or Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach is nice.
Yeah, that's where he's planning on going, so yeah.
Oh, sweet. Do you have any, because I stepped out a minute ago and Micah was asking you about where you plan on going next. You're not going to go all the way down to the coast to Padre, are you?
No, we haven't really looked at that area very hard yet.
Okay, cool. Then I guess I'll go ahead and start one over there if you don't mind.
No, go. Welcome to the club, we always say.
Quick question. So in Destin, how much would like a 1-bed, 1-bath condo go for?
There's not a whole lot of 1-bedroom, 1-baths that are on the rental side. They're there, but they're probably in the mid-2s they'd start.
Mid-2s?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would the occupancy rate be on that on a year?
You probably could get 6. a lot of times they'll have a bedroom, and then they'll have like a little hall bunk, and then a sleeper sofa in the living room.
Okay, so you could fit 6. And how much of the year could I plan on that being rented out?
You mean like the gross rentals or percent of occupancy?
Percent of occupancy.
In our market, if you want to, you can rent it out 100% of the time, and it's just you're gonna have to vary your rates is all. Summer's, your peak rental time. Spring break is your secondary peak time. Your fall is your shoulder season, and then the snowbirds love the one bedrooms. So we get the same thing. We get people to come down from Michigan, Canada, and they'll rent from November till February, and it's bottom dollar, but they it'll stay occupied, and they usually take very good care of it because they're living in it. If you don't get a snowbird, you can still pick up weekly rentals. You might not be 100% full during that time if you don't get a snowbird, but you might be 60% full. But most of our properties, if we choose to, we can rent them 100% of the time. We'll take time off for our personal use, and then we always try to take time off to make improvements, remodel a bathroom, paint the house. So we'll schedule that, in a certain 2 or 3 week period in the off season.
Nice. And so y'all go high end on everything. What are some advice on how to to go in there and redecorate something or bring it up to modern? What would be some affordable tips to do something like that?
If you can spend the money on it, you get the money out of it. So, we'll see somebody come along, we'll try to do it, our friends will do it, our clients will do it. If you buy a $350,000 condo and put $150,000 into it, you can sell it and flip it for $550,000.
Wow.
Because it's just, people want the higher end stuff. And, if it's a brand new property, that's great. But if you come across a 10-year-old condo building and it has 10-year-old carpet and 10-year-old countertops and 10-year-old cabinets and 10-year-old bathrooms, that's a lot to change. So if you come in and do a complete redo for $100,000, you can really do very well either by keeping it and renting it now for top dollar or flip it and, make your money back.
Wow.
Those are the top rentals that we have. I mean, they rent like scalded dogs because people want that high-end stuff now, and they look great in pictures.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's an HGTV fan, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. You take this old dingy condo, and all of a sudden, 3 months later, it's like, wow.
and I've told Micah before, Destin. I'm sorry, South Padre, for example, and we've been going there for years, and it's still. I mean, they're getting into the newer way of doing things, but they're still got that old school mentality where they have some. They expect people to show up at the beach and go to one of the rental agencies on the beach and say, "Hey, I need a condo for the weekend. What do you got?" And they'll get you one, give you the keys, and hand you some towels, and off you go. You get to the place. There's a set of rules. Oh, they hand you a set of rules. Bring your own toilet paper. Bring your own trash bags. Bring your own. I'm like, and we stayed at one of those recently. I'm like, man, we've been spoiled by the Airbnb and Vrbo model where people are trying to, really go out of their way to provide everything for the guests.
Right.
And so I just think that, I mean, how do you, I guess, well, you're the middleman, but you encourage, I'm sure you encourage your host to go above and beyond like that for their guests, don't you?
We do. We're talking, we'll have electronic locks. We have seamless online booking. We have automatic reply on emails. We have automatic email notifications of their reservation, their access information, thank you notices. So we want to embrace all the technology like that to make it quick and fast. They don't have to go to a rental office. They literally drive in with their phone. They have their, codes on their phones to get in the gate. They got their codes to get in the house. They got instructions all week being texted to them and emailed to them about, hey, it's garbage night on Tuesday, and don't forget your checkout time's tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and then they pull out and leave. But we don't ever want to replace the one-on-one communication between the guest and the owner. So if the guest is in that house and has an issue, they call me or call one of our managers. They don't call a third World Country Service Center, and
Airbnb.
yeah, and get a canned response on what to do when this happens, and they get totally left out of the cold. It's just not a good customer service experience, in my opinion.
And that's what you see. I guess I list I have an Airbnb here in the DFW area, and I Airbnb is, like you said, it's convenient. They handle everything. The payment goes straight to your bank account. VRBO, the same thing. And Booking.com, I don't know if you've worked with them before, but they're finally coming around to that. Whereas they kind of did something similar to what y'all are offering. Whereas this person wants to book, boom, 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 they're booking your place for this week. Go ahead and accept payment when they get there, or a week before or a few days before they get there. You can hit them up and charge them. They were doing that, and I was like, whoa, what the hell? And so I went ahead and, how am I going to accept payment for these people? And I went ahead and downloaded the Square app, which is pretty awesome. And so they paid me directly through the phone, and of course Square took a little chunk, but it wasn't as big of a chunk as like Airbnb or VRBO would. And so I was like, this is pretty cool. Why do I was thinking to myself, would I need? I mean, for the exposure, I'm sure, but like I could kind of do this myself. It's a little scary at first because I'm the one in charge of taking the money and either meeting with the people or talking to them on the phone or something like that. But I could see getting used to that, and if I had my systems in place, and of course you're helping the hosts with their, put their systems in place and do it this way. And I guess, do you go ahead and guide them towards apps like that and say, hey, you need to get PayPal, you need to get Square, you need to get whatever else, and be ready to take these payments when they get there?
Yeah, that's 100% what we do. We help them get all that stuff set up. We have the software, so you just take the booking on your own, like all the things I just talked about. We have all the automation. We want them to do that, but we want that merchant service to be in their name. Like you said, it's you pay a service fee for the merchant service. That's like a banking fee, but you take control of the payments coming to you. And what the nightmares we see are these larger management companies and even private owners with a bigger house. You start talking, some of these rentals might be over $10,000 for a week, with a big home with 2 or 3 families coming in. And they have 1, 2, or 3 disputes during the year, and it goes back to VRBO or HomeAway or Airbnb, and they favor for the guest. These are real heartaches that these people go through, and they're like, I can't let these people control, who's giving back my money, and that's what they do. So that's why we always say, you're paying me. We want you to be paid by your guest. If the guest has a problem, they call you. You fix your guest problem so they don't have a reason to try to, get the money back. Anytime you bring in that third party, more problems will come down the road, and we see it every day.
Wow, that's real huge. Yeah, because I know most host complaints on Airbnb is they control the payment. Do you guys offer, let them know, hey, let's say the host, they're in control of taking a security deposit and things like that, correct? Well, we want them to, but now they can do it on Airbnb or VRBO. The whole thing goes through them. So if they damage your house and the guest says I didn't do it, and they give the guest back the damage deposit, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys, because I've been really looking at kind of going more your way. Me controlling everything that comes in. Let's say I collect a guest credit card, it kind of protects you. Rather than like an Airbnb, the security deposit really isn't even real. So do you guys kind of encourage that?
We do. Yeah,
okay.
We also use a damage insurance product through Travel Guard. And so far it's served us extremely well, and all the clients that we use, it's served them extremely well. We don't see, if you have a big problem, you have a legal problem. Like if you have somebody that tears out a bathroom or something, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if, Junior steps on the dishwasher and breaks the door. Well, we have a damage insurance product that, for $49, the owner just files a claim and gets up to $3,000 for the coverage. Whoa. So it's a very good experience for the guest. And if the guest breaks a window or, spills wine on the carpet, it's all covered. And then the owner just files with the insurance company. It's an online form they fill out. They send it in. They take a picture, and they get the money paid back directly. So the guest isn't put on guard about, well, my son didn't do that. Well, who did it? Somebody did it. It's a very bad experience when you got to tell your guests they got to pay for something at your house. Nothing ever goes well in that situation. Mm-hmm. And that insurance kind of solves that issue.
Here's a big question. What do y'all do in the reviews department? Like either the hosts can review the guests or vice versa. I mean, that's huge with Airbnb and somewhat with VRBO, but that's what's a real big part of Airbnb, that we can say, hey, these guests sucked, or hey, this host sucked, or they did good.
Yeah, I have. I'll say two different things about it. I'll go one way and then I'll flip on you here. Okay, so reviews are great. It's one way to tell, what somebody thinks about a property, what somebody's experience is with dealing with somebody in business. I think you need to have great reviews. We work on reviews. We try to get reviews. We try to get good reviews. On the other hand, I think a lot of people know, and it's very public, that a lot of reviews are bogus. Mm-hmm. And, there's people out there that are faking reviews. I think the better people run the better businesses, and the cream rises to the top. And I'm never afraid if I have, 25 5-star reviews and I got one 3-star review. I don't try to, get rid of that. What I try to do is explain it. I had a lady that had a plumbing problem in one of my properties, and I called my guy, and he said, I'll be there in an hour, and he didn't show up for 2 days. Oh. And he was so reliable, I never had to call him twice. And so she leaves and gives me a bad review saying, I called and nobody showed up. And I went back out and just said, hey, that was my fault. I didn't check on my guy. He was supposed to come. He didn't. I apologize. And I think people understand you're human, but then they can read my other 25 5-star reviews and see everything went well. And sometimes, crap happens, and you have to deal with it. And if they know that, 24 out of 25 times it's going to be a really good thing, I think the odds are in your favor that they think that now this is a realistic review, because we do see, one that was bad that was handled, and we have confidence that this is a good system and not a bad one.
I mean, if you think about it, that if God could be reviewed, I bet he wouldn't get 5 stars across the board. So why worry about your place so much if you're doing this? Not that you're being godlike or whatever, but you're doing the best job you can, making it as awesome experience for your guests as you can. And like you said, there's always going to be haters out there, right?
Yeah,
there are. And I mean, like you guys mentioned, if you want to Google right now, Airbnb reviews or VRBO reviews, and I can show you thousands and millions of negative reviews. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem I have with reviews. It means well, but you should put a big asterisk by, do I trust this whole system emphatically throughout everything? And I say, be very careful. Look at the reviews, get a feeling in your gut. And reviews, I'm on 7, 8 different websites advertising my property, and there's reviews everywhere. So if you come along and see one website and it has 3 reviews, well, I might have 7 reviews over here and 4 more over here and 6 more over here and 22 over here. It's hard to get the whole picture, but if you start with it and then you have a good relationship and the person answers the phone and they return your emails, most people will get a warm and fuzzy for you with how you run your business in general.
That's true. That's so very true. And so do y'all offer the reviews right now in your platform?
We do. Yeah, you'll see them on, they can submit the reviews and they get posted on the listings. But we run through the same things. The owners will call and say, well, I don't want this review up there because this person was this. And, it's like, well, now we got an argument on our hands. Who do you believe? And then we're put in that position. And it's very difficult to deal with it in a straightforward manner.
Now, do you say, hey, I'm just the middleman here? Or how do you do it?
Well, yeah, we just try to, we always encourage them to respond to it, because I think, if it's something negative and you don't respond, you didn't have a chance to explain yourself. Huh. And sometimes owners think the only good review is a 5-star review, or the highest level, whatever it is. And I think it's okay if somebody, hey, it was a good vacation, but it was rainy all week and we left early, and they give them a 4-star review. Well, it wasn't your fault, but, the person didn't have a great time. So he's just giving his honest opinion. It's just very subjective.
He was really giving God that 4-star review.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Speaking of reviews, I just had some guests stay there, and they loved the place. They said how awesome it was, gave me a glowing write up and everything, and they left me a 4 stars. I was like, what the what the heck is that about, man? And so
some people might say, well, I just don't give 5 stars. We've heard that before.
Right. I didn't have a bidet or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
I've heard like people in I had people, a guy from I think France, and he kind of said the same thing. Like he was saying in Europe, he said, yeah, we don't really give 5-star reviews because it's impossible, I guess, to have a 5-star experience. I'm like, okay, but that's just what he came from, what he said. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, crazy, man. Well, Joe Godar, I'm sorry. It's Godar, right?
Right.
Okay, Godar, like Hodar from Game of Thrones, right?
Godar, yeah.
Godar. Well, man, we appreciate it so much that you came on the show. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. I'm struggling through this a little bit, but man, we got so much awesome information from you. Yeah. We appreciate you hopping on and letting us know how there's another way to do it. And I'm glad that these and you're keeping it regional. You're perfecting your niche right now, and that's great. And you plan on expanding, and that's how it should be. A slow, methodical expansion. I think before you just there's something to be said because Airbnb, boom, they expanded real fast, and all of a sudden they're in all kinds of legal issues everywhere. They're fighting legal battles all over the globe, and but you're finding you're doing it right, I think, and you go into the council meetings and you're explaining this to people both sides, and I think that's really important. We're over there, fighting, and all these people are bitching about Airbnb to us, and we're like, hey, we're not the company, but we benefit from them in a way, and they're trying to explain things away, whereas Airbnb is not really up there talking for us. But for you to actually go to those meetings and try to educate people, I think that's really valuable, and that's a big thing that's missing in this STR market we got going on right now.
No, I appreciate being on here, and we're just trying to find our niche and hold on to our niche and just try to bring something beneficial to the market.
That's awesome. And so where can folks get a hold of you at, Joe?
The easiest way is just go to Emerald Coast by Owner and just click on the Contact Us, and you can send us an email or a phone call directly. Or jump on the chat like you did, and you'll see the little chat button in there, and we try to man that best we can, usually Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah, I hit that chat button because when we saw that video, and I told Mike, I was like, I need to get. I said, this guy's got a cool idea, and he's like, get him on the show. And I went to that website, and I was about to send a message like, whoa, there's a chat button there, and so I clicked that chat button, and this lady answered. I forgot her name. She answered, right away, and I was like, hey, can I speak to the owner? Kind of, maybe not like that. And I explained to her what we were doing, and she's like, oh, hold on one sec. And then boom, there's Joe, the founder of Emeralds. Man, I got
Emerald Coast by Owner.
Emerald Coast by Owner.
Right.
And I'm talking directly to the founder, and I'm like, wow, where does this ever happen? It don't happen on Airbnb for sure. But I thought this is the coolest thing, and he's very responsive. Hit him up. You have any questions, and hey, you might get a spot out there on the Emerald Coast and start making some money with Joe. Yeah,
come down and visit us. There's a lot of people that had some problems with the hurricane, so we're hoping they get all back up and running. The best thing that somebody could do is, go visit them and, go back to those restaurants and book their vacations with them again. And they're rebuilding it, cleaning it up as fast as they can, and everybody down there appreciates the business.
Wow, that's awesome.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you so much, Joe, and we look forward to keeping in contact with you and seeing where this whole big thing goes.
Yeah, let's stay in touch, and I really appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, man. Thanks. Take it easy.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.